First and foremost, thank you for that. We appreciate the movement. So President Torneo, board members, and Superintendent Ramos, thank you for having us here this evening to present on alternative education. I also want to take a moment to introduce Anne-Marie Mora, our assistant principal, and Ms. Anita Cummings. She's our instructional specialist and CTE expert at RGPI. So thank you for having us this evening. So I just want to take a few minutes before we start just to remind everyone who falls under alternative education, because we do have more than just RGPI. So we have Rio Grande Preparatory Institute, the Student Success Academy, the partial hospitalization programs, which includes both the Peak and Mesilla Valley Hospital. So I just want to always remind folks that it's more than just RGPI. When we began our journey at RGPI in January, the first step that we took was really establishing an understanding of what alternative education is, and really building our plans and our vision for the future with the end in mind, and really reminding everyone that all of these programs are servicing students who need a non-traditional educational setting for some reason or another, and that our goal and our values, our mission is to address the social, emotional, and behavioral and academic needs of all of these students. So that was step one, just kind of establishing that nomenclature amongst ourselves and with our teachers, and then moving into assessing the current systems and structures that were in place, making modifications, making changes, and then moving into building a new culture for our school and our instructional planning. So I'll start with a little bit of information on RGPI. The first thing that I want to share with you is we're really trying to transition to expand our target population. Historically, the population at RGPI has been students who are credit recovery and focusing specifically on just credit recovery. So we are moving to also include targeting students who are seeking an alternative setting for a variety of reasons, whether that be a smaller environment, a different learning experience, incoming ninth graders, as well as students who need a start-over opportunity. We will continue to offer that, but they need a startup opportunity, but we also want to expand beyond just the current population that we serve. So the vision that we would like to lay out for you includes four sections. The first is programs of study, our community-focused projects, the innovative infrastructures to come, and including an update on the Student Success Academy. So in looking at our programs of study, these quick photos are our current programs of study. So we are leveraging the work of Carrie Hernandez and the CTE team and the foundation they've already laid in LCPS. So our current programs are our culinary program, which falls under the HRTM, as well as the mass communication. So those two programs have been implemented. They have been funded for supplies and equipment, and they're fully operating. So in our 23-24 school year, we are forging new partnerships that are going to kind of taper to the needs of our RGPI students and expand beyond just what's been available to students previously, because our students do have specific needs. Many of our students have transportation needs, so they are not able to access things like ACE or be able to go too far off, as well as we have the opportunity in Mesilla to have a lot that's right at our fingertips. So we are working on forging new partnerships and new programs of study. So in 23-24, the two that we plan to implement and that we've already scheduled into our year are our construction trades and adding the HRTM with the hotel management model based on, again, the location of where we are. So the building and construction trades will look a little different than it does at Oregon Mountain. They work with a specific group, and so Ms. Cummings has done a lot of work finding support and sponsorships for this new program of study at RGPI. And this is a layout of what the classes look like, and it's detailed. However, I think the biggest piece is that we're looking at short-term certifications for students that they can earn quickly, so that they can, within a short period of time, even a year, earn multiple certifications that allow them a one-up on another student who might be applying for a job in the local area. The other piece that we just found out about this past week that's been really exciting is we have been offered an MOU with the American General Contractors, who will partner with DACC to sponsor RGPI as one of two schools in New Mexico for NCCER, so the National Center for Construction, which is a certification that's offered through PED. So we're super excited about that. She had an updated meeting even today with DACC about the purchasing of textbooks for us and sponsoring the funding behind that. So we're very excited about the prospect of even just the first year and the looking at the numbers for scheduling in the pain grid, the students are already starting to sign up for this course, this intro course for year 1. And then in year 2, it will go even farther than that because there's a lot of new information coming out at NMSU and DACC with energy auditing and green and the ability for our students to get apprenticeships at the age of 18, even if they're still working. Even if they're still attending school. So we're super excited about this, and I'll talk about IEC in just a minute, but they'll have the opportunity to work with them as well. And then the second is leveraging the fact that we are located in the most beautiful town of Mesilla that has all of this at our fingertips, and being able to place our students. And the first intro course is the hospitality and tourism course, and then they are then placed into the community. So our schedule will reflect this ability of students to be able to walk across the street if they don't have transportation and be able to have that same work experience, just with a little bit of a different model than is currently in place for the comprehensive high schools. As we are doing our instructional planning, these are the things that we're looking at most specifically in the upcoming year, refining our project-based learning, really investing in the professional development of our teachers to move away from what is typically called a dessert project to an authentic problem-based solving experience for students. And teachers did start professional development this year before any of us got there, but it was online, so it was a great foundation, but we would like to improve upon our professional development offered for our teachers. We are also implementing trauma-informed instruction as one of the things that we feel we need on all 3 of our sites, as a platform that will be embedded into all of our classrooms to continue to address, because again, they can't access their academic needs if we haven't serviced their emotional and their behavioral needs. The increased community partnerships to enhance our project-based learning, we're working, and I'll share that in a few seconds, specifically with some entities already to improve those, and then increasing our student field trip opportunities and allowing for more flexible scheduling for our students. So this is a quick example of what a creative schedule might look like for a student. So a student who might have construction trades. So right now we're on a 4x4 block. That's historically been the schedule at RGPI for quite some time. We're looking at a 5-period model because we do have a current population who still needs credit recovery. We can't forget the students who already attend there. And we will have students, if we continue to serve students who are needing another opportunity to start over, need some credit recovery, but we want to move away from the model of scheduling around credit recovery and include credit recovery towards the latter part of the day. So students who don't need it can go out into the workplace, right now they're being mixed together in their classes. And so we'd like to move away from that. So for construction trades, for example, a student might have the intro class quarter 1, and then in quarter 2, they'll have multiple periods, and it might be more than 2, because in working in this past week, even since we've made this PowerPoint, there are monthly labs that are off-site that are available to our students that we can take them to once a month for an entire day. And because we don't have the facilities quite yet. So that would allow for the students to be able to participate in those. Hospitality and tourism, again, if they don't need credit recovery, then we can offer them that intro class, and we can be working on their work placement directly in Mesilla, and that might be their afternoon. It might be 1 period, it might be 2 periods, depending on the individual need, but because it's close, they're able to do so. And then by offering our credit recovery as a 5th period, it enables us to start scheduling our classes with the emphasis on our CTE and our focus on the authentic learning piece, and the credit recovery being a secondary piece versus the primary piece that's driving the schedule. The second piece that we're going to look at is our community-focused projects. These are our students, our student government kiddos who just went to compete at the state level, and they had an opportunity to leave early and go up to see the Roundhouse and spend the day with Senator Souls, and they were super excited about that. I'm super grateful to Ms. Kiesling, who took them early, because it's not easy to travel with students for a week. But when we got to Rio Grande Prep, one of the first things we did was take a student survey and see what is it that the students' feedback brought to us, because really they're our greatest stakeholders, and what is it that they need, that they want to see, that they feel is important. And you'll see one of the greatest things that drove some of these decisions was their request for more work experience opportunities. They also would like to see more field trips, more electives, and those extracurricular activities. So that is what drove our current plan and our current vision, being able to provide for them the things that they would like to see. So currently this year, we are working with some community partners, grads, the Rotary Club, Cruces Creatives, the town of Mesilla, independent electrical contractors and the DACC construction trades group. So grads used to be a program at RGPI, thanks to Ms. Cummings, who was a grads teacher. She has already re-implemented it. We have already been approved. Thank you to Mr. Ramos for Superintendent Ramos for signing that already. So we are back as a grad site with case management funding that's being provided by the grads. We're in conversations about reopening the daycare because we do have quite a few students who it's impacting their ability to attend school. So we're looking at that. Cruces Creatives, I'll talk about them in just a second. So I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. That's okay. So Town of Mesilla. So we have already met with the Town of Mesilla and the city planners and the town planners and spoken to them about the things that we can participate in with our students for this current school year, just this last quarter, to leverage the time we have left. So we'll be working with them for their Easter egg hunt, their Cinco de Mayo festivities, and then they are working with us on summer county internships for our students. They've had that program and the city has that program, but it's nice to be able to work directly with Dorothy Sellers to be able to make those connections for our kiddos. We have already planned for next year. We sat and had a very long meeting with her where our students will be involved and working directly with the Town of Mesilla through their town parade, their haunted house. Our students will become contributors to the Mesilla newsletter, so they'll be able to start writing pieces that will be published and updating the Town of Mesilla on what is happening at RGPI. They're also going to be working on short videos about documenting the Town of Mesilla, and then those will be posted on the Mesilla website, the Town of Mesilla's website. And then lastly, we're currently going to be working on putting together a digital photography show that will be displayed in the town hall next door to the school. The other group we're working with Q4 is Cruces Creatives, which is right across the street and a great community partner that I really didn't know much about until I went to RGPI. I'm super impressed with their willingness to work with students and to share the skill sets that the adults have there. So it's like a very large makerspace, but they're willing to come into our schools. So we are taking our students on a field trip there the 13th, and the students will see the site, see the makerspace, and then they are pushing someone into our campus to work with our students on 3D printing and web design. So they'll be coming in and they provide the instruction for you, and then they take back the web design work of the students, print it, bring them back their models so they can see like were your measurements correct? Did you was this everything you thought it was going to be? So we were able to squeak that in for fourth quarter, so we'll be starting that in actually I think in 2 weeks. The other thing that is new for us that lends into where we're going next year is we've set up a field trip to the IEC, to the Independent Electrical Contractors. This is a photo of the lab they have available to our students. So we will be taking our students to the IEC wire-off competition. So as we're trying to generate the excitement amongst our own students, our current 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, so that they can see what is available to them next year if they're in this trade and in this pathway. Again, they have a tremendous number of short-term certifications that we can get for our students, and the understanding is with Innovation Zone money, we have some transportation opportunities there to get our students to the labs. So we're taking them on a field trip the 28th so that they can see what that looks like and know what it is that they're signing up to be a part of as they sign up for next year. And then these are just some of the things we've built into the time that we've been there and trying to ensure that we're bringing activity to our students so that their day has some of the pieces that comprehensive high schools have, because they don't always have that opportunity because they're so small. We took a school tour of Mesilla. That was like herding cats, but it was really fun. So we took a school tour of Mesilla. We've brought in guest speakers. We hosted our very own March Madness 3v3 basketball tournament. We've had a wellness day, and we are getting ready to take our seniors and our perfect attendance and our improved attendance students to a Chihuahua game in April. And these are just some of the photos of working with students in the few months. So you can see some of the guest speakers, the trip across the street to Mesilla. And our students are participating in the events that are being hosted by CTE. So they did participate in the Girls Conference. They also participated in Mock Till You Rocket. Am I saying that right? I'm having a moment right there, Mock Till You Rocket. So this is the students who attended that event and participated in the mock interviews and participated. And to really see that piece is an important piece of the work we do, the soft skills that we're working to embed in the coursework that we do to prepare them for their life beyond high school. And then as we move into 23-24, and we will be looking at expanding our after-school activities for students, because this is something they've expressed that they would like to see. So our esports is already up and running. Compliments to the district for finally providing us, I shouldn't say finally, but I say finally, an activity bus, because they need transportation, and so they're able to stay. And we do have students who stay Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday until 5 p.m., and they have access to a bus. And it's incredible for them to be able to participate, because they are bus riders, and so it gives them that opportunity. And that will continue to expand. Our esports lab has been newly outfitted with the new Mimeo boards, new equipment, in addition to the fact that, and coming to a slide near you, the newly outfitted equipment that has just been purchased for us. So the Student Council, Cruces Creatives, will be partnering with them to bring after-school activities to students, because they have a tremendous number of support who will come into after school to work with students on projects in the community, and then working on building some intramurals. We have a very active basketball group who would like their own activities. So we'll be working on building some intramural sports for them as well. And then speaking of, so this is a picture of our new esports area right now, but it's getting ready to expand, compliments of the district. So we're excited to say these are some of the innovative infrastructures that are coming soon to RGPI. So the esports, even though it's a little bit lower on the list, that has actually already, the mobile unit has already been purchased, and that will be in place and ready to roll when students return in 23-24 and be fully functioning and complete. The nice thing about it is it's a mobile unit, so because when we have inclement weather, the students do like to play basketball in the gym, so it doesn't take away their gym. It just enables us to be able to move things around and be a hub and host those things, but still be able to roll it up and have a gym space for our students. So we're very excited about that, and they are very excited about that. Looking at one of the things that Superintendent Ramos shared this evening was we just received $197,000 through legislation to work on the LCPS Mercado. The idea here is that we will host a student market for the town of Mesilla. That's still in the works, but as that funding comes in, we would like for our students who are working in the construction trades to partner with the planning on the Mercado and bring their ideas to what that will look like and help design and facilitate the implementation of that Mercado. And then ultimately that will be a space where all students from all around the district can come monthly to sell the items that they're creating. So for example, welding programs are creating things all the time. Our students in construction trades might start by building small dog houses. They can be selling those. Bulldog Blooms can come from Las Cruces High School and bring all of those items to one space once a month for the town of Mesilla. So we're excited about that. And then Josh Silver is going to be my thought partner. He's really the thought, I'm just the partner on the sound stage, but that was a conversation that was in the works before I came over, and we'd really like to continue exploring that, and our mass media teachers would really like to continue exploring that. We have funded and grown our own SEL space. We have a wellness room that we are continuing to use title funds because it's part of our 90-day plan to address those needs for the students. So we are working on expanding that and continuing to use that for our students. We really do feel that much of our attendance is based on student feedback, is their attendance or lack thereof is often impacted by their social and emotional state. So we're working to build them a space that will address that. So just as we move forward, just building a culture in alternative education that really revolves around community service projects and project-based learning, problem-based learning, and really providing students community-based and experiential hands-on learning where they are taking what they're learning in class and using it in the real world and adjusting what they're learning in class. We just had a great conversation today about fictional novels that can support a project that they're working on. I just read a beautiful novel that fits in perfectly with culinary that they could co-teach together and kind of bring those things together so they see the connection between the two. Our Student Success Academy is our students who are serving long-term suspensions. We know that they presented to you, Mr. Mormon presented to the board in the fall of 2022, so we just wanted to share a couple of updates and some changes that have taken place out there and just kind of some direction that we're trying to bring to that group. So first of all, we adopted a mascot because they are a school, even though they're a school within a school, and so our social workers decided that they wanted us to be the wolf pack because we're trying to focus on the strength of the pack and what they can collectively really come together to bring to our school. So these are just our current numbers of students who are with us right now. They flex from day to day, just depending on the day. But I do want to share, Mr. Ramos had asked this question the other day. The data is showing that the JICH violations, which are the alcohol, tobacco, other drug related, those are down. So those are very much down. So we just wanted to share that information with you as we shared the numbers with you as well. The conversation that we had when we came to RGPI is, what is our role as a Student Success Academy, and what do students gain from their time at the Student Success Academy? What is it when they leave that they're taking with them? So based on the work and the readings that we've done and the work that we've done with the teachers, we really want to focus on core values that reflect the trauma-based research that we've been doing. And so really in working actually with Esther Peterson, Ms. Mora worked with Esther, and these are the three things that we have really decided that are going to be we've reflected our packet to change to reflect these, and they're working on a sheet on this. Actually, we got the draft today. And the three core values are healing, because most of them are coming from some sort of a trauma that's resulted in a behavior that has landed them where they are. Building them up and reminding them the success they can achieve and the skills they do have to reach that, and then helping them to reintegrate so that they go back and can be successful, whether that's at their homeschool or we're actively recruiting them to keep them with us at our GPI, because for many of them, it's the smaller environment that can really make a difference for them, and the personal connections that they can make in a smaller environment that they sometimes just get lost, when there's 1,800 kids on a campus. So those are the three things that we're really focusing on with them. I wanted to take just a quick minute and show you that even in a little small alternative program that is serving a unique population, there is still culture building that's taking place. So these are some of our teachers who, they're not at a comprehensive high school, so they're not seen by everyone, they're not necessarily known by everyone, but these people work really hard for these students and really build relationships with these students to help them find their way back to their education and to help them access their education. So not only did they pick a logo, but the teachers decided amongst themselves, they served the students a Valentine lunch, they cooked it, they brought everything for them, they served them, and they celebrated them. And we just think that it's really important that the students who are there also are reminded of their value and their place in our school district. They also are hosting now, as students exit, because they tend to exit kind of around a grading period, hosting exit celebrations for those students. So our March exit celebration was root beer floats and ice cream sundaes for the kids that to celebrate that those students were complete and that they had presented and were ready to go back to their schools. The other thing that we worked on actually right away was making sure that we were ensuring the safety of our staff and our students by providing all the necessary training that they needed. So because they are special education, there are students who are in special education, but there are students that, they have some sort of an infraction that has been a safety issue. So we ensured that all staff members were trained by the SRO from the town of Mesilla on searches. We did CPI training, and everyone was recertified this year. They were not part of the safety team on campus because they were run by two separate entities earlier. So we've enveloped them into our safety plan, made sure all of our portables are equipped with all of the same equipment as classrooms, creating go bags. We've had Narcan training for all of the teachers, and we've had AED training for all of the teachers. So those are just some of the safety things that we felt we needed to put into place right away. And then lastly, really focusing on what's called the tapered finish for these students. So if our goal is to transition them back, we would like to start with the transition to RGPI if they're in high school. So the students who are in high school will be working with us in the 23-24 school year to take their credit recovery in our new fifth period to come into the day school. Students who are being successful with their VLA or successful in their social work can start transitioning part of a day to RGPI, and if they're demonstrating success, continue to stay there and really serving their long-term in a more, it's a smaller setting, but it's a little bit more comprehensive than outside. So working with them to transition to us, working with their homeschools. We just had a student, for example, he wanted to come to RGPI, but he had 4 weeks left on his suspension, and I was able to call Mr. Frost. We were able to both agree that it was in his best interest to start on the first day of school for the fourth quarter at RGPI. So we were able to work with Dolores, get that lifted, and he started with us, and he's so happy to be there. And he's staying on campus, he's working out at lunch. He came and talked to me today about, could we maybe bring someone else he knows. So just kind of being able to make those connections with them outside transfers inside when we bring them to work inside the building with us. So we're excited about that. And then lastly, bringing back the model that actually Superintendent Ramos had at Camino. This was something that they were doing that I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if maybe it was a COVID thing, but reintegrating meetings. We are scheduling meetings with their homeschools or with their special education leads, making sure that we share what we've learned about them before, if they choose to decide not to stay with us, or if they're middle schoolers, sharing what we've learned about them and what works for them and what doesn't work for them, and sharing that, as well as having IEP, transition IEPs back with their homeschools, with their case managers, having our staff work with their staff to ensure that we have the most accurate IEP reflection of helping that will help that student be successful. And then working with the students as they present. They have been creating PowerPoints to present back to their homeschool administration to address, this is the infraction, here's what I could have done differently, here's what I've learned, here's what I would like to do, here are my goals, here's something I would like to do when I come back, and really having the students focus on the positive that's in front of them and the potential that lies in front of them. And then last but not least, we have our partial hospitalization programs, which are also part of our alternative ed. And we just always want to remind people that these two are kind of sometimes out of sight, so they're kind of out of mind. But we do service students who are in partial hospitalization programs through the Peak and Mesilla Valley Hospital. And these photos just happen to be from the Peak, and they do a beautiful job of providing an environment for students. So students who are at the Peak are basically on a intensive outpatient treatment. So they're there for 30 to 45 days, and they come like a school day. But this is what their schedule looks like. So they do school there. They are working in an academic support model with two wonderful LCPS teachers, Ms. Cardenas and Mr. Diego. And the teachers are working with their homeschool teachers. These students are not in VLA. So they're 30 to 45 days. They're communicating with their homeschools, gathering their work, making sure they have access, because they have found that it's not beneficial to students to think in the mindset of like, well, we want to spare them of that, because they're trying to integrate them back. And so they're really working hard to ensure they have the work that they can to do. And then they serve a series of about 2 weeks where they start going back to school a few days a week to start to identify like what's working and what's not working for them, so they can go back to the Peak and work on a plan to address those things before they reintegrate. These two teachers also sit on their transition IEPs and are working on students who are not in IEPs, potentially looking at putting them in SAT, so that they have the support, and also we're working with the Peak and the high schools to get release information. So as students are leaving the Peak, there's someone on campus who's able to serve them immediately when they return, because that piece wasn't in place quite yet. And then Mesilla Valley Hospital serves our younger students who are 7 to 11, and it's a very similar model. They only have a morning session though. This one may be changing. They have some ideas about how they'd like to do things differently, and currently the teachers who serve the Peak, they take turns in the morning and go over and serve the students over there. And then just to kind of bring that all back full circle, so those are our 3 alternative sites, all kind of under the again, serving a different student population who has specific needs, but we really wanted to make sure that they too, all the work we do is servicing the graduate profile that's just recently come out, and making sure that we're addressing those things for our students as well, and that they are having the same options available to them as students who are in a comprehensive high school. So these are the things that are our alternative education core values, making CTE a priority in our school for all of our students, which really aligns with the new graduation requirements as well as the graduate profile. Impacts student perception about careers in the local area in construction and in HRTM, and really helping them see that that what they are doing right now can be one of 2 things. It can stay that way forever and ever, or that they can be in the hospitality and tourism right now as a server and be promoted to a trainer, and then eventually be promoted to a manager, and then eventually be. And when I went to the DACC, I met with the culinary group, and there was a wonderful teacher there who said, they don't know that right now the work they're doing could be the foundation to become a manager. She said, at a Red Lobster, I made $75,000 a year, but she said my quarterly bonus was $25,000 a quarter. And so just making that connection for, I know, right? We all wanted to go work at Red Lobster, but making that connection for students that this can be a means to something larger, or it can be a means to an end. It depends on what we do with it, and really helping them focus on making it a means to something greater. And then lastly, I think the most important thing for all 3 schools is providing a path from ambition to training to job placement as a professional. So, and making sure those structures are there to support that, whether they have a car, don't have a car, have transportation, whatever the case may be, making sure they have access to that. And with that, we stand for any questions you might have.
Well, I believe that takes an applause.
Oh.
Yes. How about a standing applause?
There we go.
Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you started in January, correct?
Yes.
This is 1/4 of
So,
work.
and then I think we just looked at your date. You were February 8th, 6th, and Anita was? January 23rd. Yeah, and much of this, I am gonna say it out loud. Anita has done a lot of the CTE legwork for us because we were working in the systems. And as someone who's been a cluster lead in the district and the state level for Ed Rising and the teaching program, she knows. And so she's really done a lot of work and has been able to, we gave her a flexible schedule this first, because the school had already started. So, but it really enabled her to go do a lot of that legwork that we needed to get things ready. So we have them in place for the students, some this year and then really taking off next year.
Mrs.
So.
Cooper, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't.
Ms. Court?
Yes, thank you, President Tenorio.
Impressive.
Thank you.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you all so much for coming and letting us know what's happening. I got a little teary throughout, just because you are providing opportunities for kids that think that they don't have any opportunities. And so I love it, the transportation piece, which is super important. So thank you to the district for making that a possibility, because then otherwise we're limiting what they can do. I was able to visit the Student Success Academy when Mr. Mormon was there, and when I was visiting, I spoke to one of the kids who was transitioning back, and he was so afraid. It broke my heart how afraid he was, because he was going back to the same environment, the same friends, the same everything else. And so now and Rio Grande Prep had always been an option, but making it a more open option and knowing that the kids have that safe place to go, smaller classroom sizes, and all of those opportunities that come with it, because I really worry about those kids that get long-term suspended. And so all of it just makes me so happy. Thank you so much for all of the work, all 3. These are all of my old colleagues. I'm so proud. Oh my gosh. Yes, I adore you all. You are doing amazing work. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your presentation and sharing with us how RGPI is evolving. And I think that seeing the outreach to the community to show these kids like how you are connected, and also what got me emotional was seeing teachers work hard already, but then to prepare that food for the kids is like an act of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's very moving to me. I made a note before you mentioned a student trying to get other kids to come in, was that by word of mouth, you're definitely gonna have kids recruiting because they're gonna be thriving under these programs.
That's our hope. That's
Yeah.
our hope. And I think that the greatest place to start is with students we already have access to that are already on our campus who need an alternative setting
Yep.
to thrive. And so to be able to have, the nice thing is because they know us, they feel, I think, more safe, and they feel comfortable, and they know we're right there. And if they're inside, they can still access the people outside. And if they're outside, they can access the people inside. And I think that just enables us to leverage the space and
we
the
might be able to
opportunities.
give more flexibility to all our traditional schools to say what school can look like. Alternative doesn't mean just for the alternative school. It can be just, let's be creative and try to teach, like how we learn and teach and interact with one another can look differently, and school can look differently. My only other question would be the entrepreneurship that you're thinking of with the Mercado.
Mhm.
I know there's a group in town called Kids Can. And I'm not sure, I think they work with different age ranges, and they work with the Cruces Creatives. So maybe they can help as far as entrepreneur classes, unless you already have someone doing that.
I think that the amazing thing is I was at a comprehensive high school. We have so much, and I didn't know about any of this. So it's almost in moving to a setting that doesn't have all of that at your fingertips that you really start to make those connections and realize, and Dr. Wendi hit the nail on the head when we were talking to her the other day. They're dying to get in. They're dying to get into the schools and work with the students and make those connections and share what they have to offer. And so we're so fortunate that location-wise, right, that we have a lot right at our fingertips, but just that this is just a very generous community who's very willing to give back, as evidenced by the bank and everything else. So
Well,
we're
thank you
excited.
for creating those pathways.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us, and thanks for moving us up.